What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Hello, you fools. Welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. Do you know what I've just realised, Skin?
What?
We didn't brainstorm the name for this 34 and 34 series.
Damn it.
God damn it.
Well, lucky there's still like 30 to go. We've got plenty of time.
Yeah. This is episode 4 of the 34 episode series that we're doing pre-season to launch into the 2026 season. That's potentially the worst description we've done of it so far.
Yep.
Well.
Ah, well.
Literally can't help bad luck. So yeah, we're gonna release 34 daily episodes over the next few days, 34 days, probably 30 days from now because it's episode 4. This is going even worse.
This is getting worse and worse.
The first 10 episodes, we're going to be deep diving into teams. We're then going to do a little review on this season's cars, liveries, designs, things like that, which we have one coming out tomorrow. The Cadillac kind of announced theirs the other day, but they didn't really announce it. I don't know if that's their official livery. If so, it's shit.
The Cadillac one?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Nah, it's just all carbon fiber with names on it.
Huh.
Like if that's the one they run this full season, then that's crap.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we're then going to do a deep dive into, or a mini dive into all of the drivers on the grid to prepare you guys for the 2026 season. Make sure you're up to date with where the teams are at, where the drivers are at, who is where, what's happening with everyone, and that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, go Skin.
Exciting stuff.
This is Skin. I'm Dave.
Hello.
If you're new here, then follow along for the craziness, because this has been a long, stupid intro, and I wish I had written something better to explain this. Go
Good
Skin.
effort. Good effort. You tried, Disc.
I didn't. I quite literally didn't try.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about Ferrari. Obviously the most successful team in our sports history. So there's a fair amount to cover. Also, one of the longest running Formula One team.
Are you okay today?
I'm not. I'm tired. It's fucking 6:04 a.m. I've been here since like 5:05. I'm so tired.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so the team name is Scuderia Ferrari. There might be some more things in that, like Formula One team, but I just wrote Scuderia Ferrari. Mm-hmm. I think HP are in there somewhere.
Great people.
Yeah. If they want to jump on board, we're always printing things here while we use our phones. The nationality, obviously, they're an Italian-based team. They're based in Maranello in Italy. Beautiful little Italian town. They have their own private racetrack in Mugello, I think that one is.
Okay.
Or it's called, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Very good.
But they have their own nice little cute private racetrack.
What do they do with that? Just
drive cars, do little events, test cars. Back in the day, it was built because there used to be unlimited testing. So you could just literally like build a car and fucking drive 1,000,000 miles if you wanted to before going racing.
Mm-hmm.
So they would literally just have test drivers. Like McLaren had the same. They would have test drivers drive their current car. Like if they qualified on a Saturday and qualified in 4th and 5th, they would just run their test drivers as long as possible on their private test track to figure out potential setup changes or whatever with upgrades and things. So then they could send the data back and then make small changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would they limit this? Nothing to do with Ferrari, obviously, so apologies. But why is there a limit on how much practice you can do and test driving you can do? Wouldn't you want people like getting the best setups for the car?
You would, but also it becomes then the bigger teams can afford private racetracks and unlimited fuel and unlimited wages for drivers and test drivers and engineers and things. So then the bigger teams that have more money can just plow money into it. And like you give people free reign, like Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, like these people that historically have had unlimited budgets don't care about losing money.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just an unfair advantage to the smaller boys and girls.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why we racked it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Ferrari. So Ferrari began in 1929. Anyone that Googles this and then asks me saying, no, they were founded in 1939. The Scuderia Ferrari racing team were founded in 1929 and started racing, but they started manufacturing cars, like road cars, in 1939. So that's when Ferrari as a car manufacturer was founded.
Okay.
Because I saw 1929 and I was like, that seems incorrect. And then did more research this time, Skin.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
You go.
Yeah.
Growing. Early question around Ferrari.
Yep.
Any idea what Scuderia means?
Should have Googled that one. I used to know. Let's have a quick Google now, Skin.
Okay.
What does Scuderia mean? Scuderia is an Italian word meaning stable, particularly in racing stable, so for horses, but in motorsport, it refers to a racing team or organization. So, yeah, I guess because Ferrari has a horse on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I never knew that.
Well,
I thought it was something totally different. So Scuderia Ferrari have the record for the most Constructors' World Championships with 16, their most recent being 2008.
yes.
So it's been
Not that recent.
18 years since their last one. Quite a
Okay.
while. Not good.
No, not good.
We're doing Williams next. We'll talk about that. Most people will associate this driver with this team, and it would be Michael Schumacher. They've had a lot of iconic drivers: Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Räikkönen, Niki Lauda. But I think Schumacher, with his 7 world championships, 5 of which I can't remember how many he won for Ferrari, 5 or 6, being for Ferrari. Yeah, like. You think Ferrari, you just immediately picture Michael Schumacher. I think you think Michael Schumacher, you immediately picture Ferrari, just like Lewis and Mercedes.
Sure.
They go, oh, Lewis Hamilton is also a very iconic driver for Ferrari. And I think if he wins a championship, would he be more iconic than Schumacher in Ferrari?
Surely not. Schumacher won 5 or 6 of the suckers.
True. But he would beat Schumacher's record in a Ferrari.
Sure. I don't.
Is that more iconic?
No.
It is iconic, though.
It's iconic,
Okay.
but not in terms of the relationship between the team and the driver.
True.
You would still mainly associate Hamilton with Mercedes, sure.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I 100% would.
Okay.
So obviously we've kind of ran through its origin.
Well, tell me a bit, do you know any more about its origins? Because obviously starting in 1929,
Yep.
Enzo founded it, I assume, Enzo Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
What did he just froth racing, or what was his deal? And so he started. Isn't there some story about he started racing Alfa Romeos or something? Like it wasn't even really Ferraris or
No. So yeah, this is kind of where everything kind of gets a bit blurry with. Was it Ferrari? Was it an Alfa Romeo? Yes. He started racing with Alfa Romeos. Alfa Romeo and Ferrari kind of just started building cars. Like he would start to build cars almost based on Alfa Romeo cars, and they would kind of just be hand in hand. Like we said with Bruce. Bruce was building his own cars, Bruce McLaren, but he was driving Fords. Like there would have been a lot of inspiration taken from the Fords, and there would have been a lot of like back and forth with them two guys.
Right.
Similar story with Enzo and Alfa Romeo. Ferrari now own, I'm pretty sure Ferrari as a car manufacturer now own Alfa Romeo, or it's the other way around. But then I'm pretty sure, it's quite well documented in Ford versus Ferrari, the movie, that Fiat actually bought out Ferrari as a whole, I think, or they aided them so that Ford wouldn't buy them out in like the 60s, so they could stay afloat because they were losing too much money.
right,
And Enzo was still alive for that.
right.
But yeah, it was. He would have started out just like everyone else that started manufacturing car or building race cars / sports cars to race back in that day. He would have started out just literally building cars in his shed with friends, engineers, people he was paying potentially to be able to just go racing and just have fun. Whether that was for himself or for other drivers, and he knew that he wanted to build a brand. I'm not 100% aware of what his like intentions were with it in the early days, but there are photos of him in some of his old cars or in Alfa Romeos and stuff, and he certainly looks like he's enjoying being behind the wheel.
Oh,
there's a photo of him just like in one of them big fucking them big like really high look like tractors because they're so fucking big, and he's just like stood there like biggest smile on his face, like he looks so happy. And he's I think it's the earliest photo of Enzo that you can find.
right.
I'm pretty sure it's from this like 1920s, 1930s era.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, so obviously for someone like me who really didn't get into racing until I met you and you spoke about nothing else, I've always pictured Ferrari as like the luxury road car sort of thing.
Yep.
But they started as a racing team as well, right?
Yep.
Similar to McLaren.
Yep.
And he really just started selling road cars in, I think it was 47 or something like that, to fund his racing team.
Yeah, so it became more of an intention. In 39, he started Ferrari as a manufacturer, like as a car manufacturer,
Sure.
but I'm sure it was that they were producing very little cars in them early days that were being sold to people. And even if they were producing cars, it was most likely that they were going to go and be raced first, because they would do, like if you watch the Ferrari movie, they would do stupid long endurance races, like 3 or 4 day endurance races where you'd have to race from checkpoint to checkpoint throughout Europe.
Oh yeah.
And so they would build cars for that kind of intention of just, it was almost proof of like how good your engineering and your car manufacturing was. If you could build a car that would last 4 days of non-stop racing or something like that, that was the big intention back in those days of like, you know, flying across the Atlantic, or making planes that could, during the World War II especially, making planes that could, you know, fly to these other countries so you could then bomb or attack or whatever. Endurance was a very big thing. And so I think post-war, or, you know, all around just 30s, 40s, 50s era, endurance was like the biggest thing in motorsport as well. It just became it had like a knock-on effect from the aircraft industry and the war industry. So yeah, I think it was mainly around that. And he would have seen in the 40s that, actually people are starting to enjoy the look of my cars, the vibe of the cars, let's sell them, and that will then fund the motorsport. Because if Ferrari was one thing, he was not good at finance. He would far sooner spend all of his money if it meant winning a race, and then be bankrupt at the end of the day. Like, he was a fucking idiot when it came to money. Hence why Fiat had to step in the 60s to help them out from bankruptcy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Like, he was not a smart man when it came to money, but fuck me, he knew how to build a car.
Okay.
So yeah, they joined Formula One in the 50s, obviously, which kind of solidified them as a very iconic racing team, car manufacturer at the time, being one of the first teams to join Formula One, and still being the only team to have joined in its first year and still be running in its 76th year now, is very fucking impressive.
Right.
That they've never missed a season.
Right. So Formula One started in 1950. Like, there was some sort of racing going on before that, but they officially called it Formula One in 1950.
Yeah.
And Ferrari were there from day one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the 40s, there were Formula One cars racing, and I think probably even earlier that there was Formula One cars racing, but there was no rules and regulations. So the Formula One is a formula of rules that you have to abide by to be able to enter that specific championship, and that as an organization and as a sport was like the rules around it were founded in 1950. And yeah, Enzo was one of the first to jump in there. And this is why you hear people like Martin Brundle. I was going to say Eddie Jordan, but he passed obviously last year. But, you hear these people that were around in the 80s and 90s of motorsport. They still talk about Ferrari as if they are like the fucking mafia of our sport. They probably still do hold a hell of a lot of weight around the paddock. I would say now less than what they did in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but being the longest standing team means that they have a very large amount of power in our sport.
How do you mean? What does that mean?
Political power. Just people in the FIA will kind of always listen to a Ferrari over a Williams or an Aston Martin. But I think that's what I'm saying. I think that this is kind of being squashed in recent history. People like Toto Wolff coming in from 2012-13 into Mercedes. He's, stood his ground and kind of stood up against Ferrari. We've had Christian Horner do the same for the last 20 odd years, standing up against Ferrari and kind of showing that actually other teams should have a say in the sport. And then, people like Lawrence Stroll entering the sport and have kind of leveled the playing field a little bit and have brought that a lot leveler. But, you look at Niki Lauda back in the 70s against James Hunt. Ferrari appealed that James Hunt's car was too wide, and they got his car disqualified from like a couple of races, and then it was overturned, and his car was determined to not breach the rules or whatever. And it's just Ferrari's political power can do a lot, or could do a lot back in the day. I don't think it can much anymore.
Okay.
But there's but also just public opinion. There's still just there's a reason why you see Ferrari jackets, and even your opinion of Ferrari before becoming a Formula One fan was they are the most prestigious. You see a Ferrari on the street, you fucking turn your head.
Yeah, cool.
Do you know what I mean? They're a very prestigious brand regardless. So that holds quite a lot of power.
Okay.
The evolution of this team, we've been breaking them down into 3 eras. So obviously I've got the birth and early glories of the Formula One team specifically. So obviously from the 1950s onwards, they became world champions with
What do you got?
With Jose Forilan Gonzalez.
Nice.
I got the Gonzalez, all right.
Okay.
In 1951, he won the first race. He won Ferrari's first race, which was the British Grand Prix. 1952, 1953, Alberto Ascari won back-to-back Drivers' World Championships for Ferrari, which kind of started their first like mini dominant era. Because to win back-to-back championships, obviously, I mean, this was the first time it had ever happened, but
sure.
To win a back-to-back championship, I think probably through to the 90s was not common for the first like 30 or 40 years of Formula One. It's very common today, but back in them days, there was a lot of, because engineering was drastically changing and drivers were becoming more ballsy. Back-to-back world championships were few and far between. So yeah, very like Ascari is one of the big names in original motorsport. Like you would put him up there with Sir Jackie Stewart and I'm fucking blanking on the guy that won 5 world championships.
For who?
For like 4 different constructors or 5 different. Like he won it for 4 or 5 different teams.
No way.
Yeah. What is his name? Fangio. Of course, it's Fangio. I'm a fucking idiot. So Fangio would also be another one of them names on the list. Like I think he was in the Ferrari film as well, driving one of, I think it might have been a Lamborghini sports car, racing in one of them stupid endurance races. But yeah, like he won a triple. He won 54, 55, 56, 57 as well. So he won a quadruple, but he did all 5 of his with 4 different teams.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, we talk about the greats. Fangio is GOAT.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
Senna's bad, but but yeah, he was super impressive. I just closed my document, so I don't have any of my shit for Ferrari. Era 2 is the Lauda 70s comeback kind of era for Ferrari is how I'm describing it. So from mid 1970s through to 1979, Ferrari returned to the very top with Niki Lauda leading the team. Really, if you watch the James Hunt Niki Lauda movie called, what is wrong with my brain today?
I think it's just early in the morning.
It's not. It's not.
We
woken
haven't had
up.
a coffee
We've
yet.
not flicked.
I haven't had a coffee yet.
Rush. The movie's called Rush. Jesus, Dave. If you watch the movie Rush, it depicts the Niki Lauda James Hunt battle in the 70s. There's a very famous scene from that, which gets memed quite a lot as well, where James Hunt pulls up, he takes his helmet off, he's still sat in the car, and the like Ferrari engineer comes over and he goes, it's shit. He's like, what do you mean it's shit? He goes, well, it's shit. He says, you can't say that, it's a Ferrari. And Niki just goes, I don't care if it's a fucking Ferrari, it's shit. And it's just like this very funny, like, Niki just doesn't give a fuck. Enzo's like sat over there on a deck chair reading the newspaper and he's like, you see the engineer obviously in the movie, but like the reports are that when Enzo found out about this, he threatened to sack Niki and was like, you make whatever changes you want to the car, you work with the engineers, I'll give you however long, like a week or whatever it was, I'll give you this specific time frame. If you don't go at least 0.5 faster, you sacked, get out. And he went and made all the changes and he fucking dominated. And then that was a very dominant era for Ferrari, and Niki Lauda like cemented himself as a fucking weapon of driving, but also engineering and just knowledge of cars and speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, in the 70s, obviously Niki Lauda kind of led that Ferrari charge. I think it was Clay Regazzoni that got signed for Ferrari and then said, hey, you actually need to bring Niki on board, because they'd driven for a previous team and Niki had done similar stunts at that team with just making the car faster. So yeah, Ferrari won the title in 75 and 77 with Lauda. And then in 79, Jody Scheckter won Ferrari's last driver's title for the decade, and then also set up quite a long drought for them. They didn't win anything for a little while after that. Era 3 for them is their most dominant era up until Mercedes was the most dominant era in sports, in our sports history, which is the Schumacher era from 1996 through till this says present day. I'm going to ignore the present day. From 1996 through to the late noughties, Schumacher's dominance. So obviously we had Schumacher, Jean Todt, and Ross Brawn. Jean Todt was team principal, I'm pretty sure, and then Ross Brawn was like the chief engineer or something at Ferrari. I can't remember what the exact dynamics were. Jean Todt, still around in the sport. I don't really know what he does, but he did quite a lot of stuff with the FIA and things post Ferrari, just like Ross Brawn did. Mm-hmm. We spoke about Ross Brawn in the Mercedes episode. When you think about Schumacher at Ferrari, if you look at any photos, you can usually find him hugging Ross Brawn or Jean Todt. This trio was just like the one of the best trios we've ever seen. Like they just dominated. They knew the politics of the sport perfectly, the engineering of the sport perfectly, and they were just an amazing trio of people.
Okay. What do you mean the politics of the sport?
Jean Todt was very good with F1 is all about politics, and I think you can't talk about Ferrari without talking about politics, and you can go through all of the decades, and Ferrari have always had their hand in F1 politics and you know, paying people off that are high up in the FIA, or controversies, or, you know, just saying, you know, dropping like when you watch a TV show about lawyers or anything to do with court cases or whatever, and you see like a lawyer suggesting something, and then he gets, you know, there's an appeal and he gets told to like shut the fuck up. But the words are out there, the jury have been influenced, and like you can't not forget them words that have been said, even though he's been sustained.
Sure.
It's kind of like that. Ferrari they're happy to fight fights when they need to, but they're also happy to just say small things in the right places at the right times in front of the right people to be able to get what they want, or to be able to direct a certain thing in a certain way for themselves. So, yeah.
Okay.
And this goes through to modern times. Like there was, when Sebastian was at Ferrari, there was a season where they were just abnormally fast in like 2019 or something like that. They were quite fast, and they also, every time they would leave the pits, they would have a weird smoke coming out the back of the car, which everyone was suspecting like, oh, this could be that they're burning fuel on their exhaust, which can then heat up an element of metal, which can then mean the engine performs better or some shit. It turned out to be way different to that. They have fuel flow sensors coming out the car. I think we spoke about this on the 2026 regulation app. So they have fuel flow sensors coming out of the car to see how much fuel is going to get pumped into the engine, right? Because obviously fuel flow is regulated by the FIA.
Okay.
What they found was the sensor only triggered every 0. whatever seconds to measure the regulation of fuel. Okay. What Ferrari did was they engineered something that would pump the fuel faster within the splits of the sensor. So for 0.3 seconds or whatever it was, I don't know the exact numbers, so don't quote me on these, but whatever the special number was, it would pump slightly more fuel in, which could give them slightly more power in the engine. It was such a minor thing, but it ended up like there was this massive review. Red Bull, Mercedes, like every team on the grid were protesting them and appealing them, and it went to court. Guess what? We still don't know the result of that. All we know is Ferrari weren't disqualified. Everything was settled outside of court privately, and nothing has ever come out. Meaning that Ferrari used their power and their money to pay off the FIA to be able to not face any disqualifications or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the kind of team we're dealing with Ferrari.
Interesting.
Yeah. We could do a whole episode on Ferrari's controversies, and I think we should at some point, especially some of the Spygate ones. I think I said that in the McLaren episode as well.
Okay.
Obviously, we could add another era on which we're currently going through with the Charles Lewis, Fred Vasseur era. Who knows? Time will tell. But this could be their kind of next defining era if they can find success with that trio. But at the moment, first season in, not looking good.
Okay. Well, surely the next era after the Schumacher era is essentially just sucking for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like they won their last Constructors Championship in 2008, I think it was.
That was with Ferrari. That was with.
Thank you, Dave. That's it. That's what the whole episode's about.
Yeah, that was with Kimi. I meant.
Yeah,
that was with Kimi Räikkönen, so not Schumacher. So Schumacher had retired at that point.
Okay, right, sure.
Yeah. So Schumacher's last one was, I think, 2004 or something.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But that whole sort of early 2000s period, they were good.
Yeah.
They were very good with Schumacher. I assume they still had a reasonably fast car by the time.
Yeah, oh my God. Well, it was Fernando who beat him in 05, 06, or 06. So 05 might have been Schumacher's last one. But yeah, like it was, they were still up there. They were still fighting for the championship against Fernando.
And then they've had this long period where they've just essentially underperformed and not really done anything particularly exciting. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say when you look at just champions, but I think if you look at 2010, 2009, they were kind of okay as well. But 2010, 11, 12, 13, they were like when the Sebastian Vettel Red Bull dominant era. They finished, I'm pretty sure, second in the championship for all of them. And Fernando raced for Ferrari at the time. And he was fighting Seb for at least 2 or 3 years there for the Drivers' Championship. So, yeah, like they've, on paper, they've sucked. They've had times where they have fought. Like when Seb was at Ferrari, he got close to, he was one of the closest, apart from Lewis's teammate, to battle Lewis in the Mercedes. But they've not done anything majorly impressive like what we've seen Mercedes, Red Bull, or even McLaren last year do in terms of having a car that is heads and shoulders above. I would say that you're looking at Fernando and Seb really not outperforming, but really pushing that car as to its limits to be able to get what they could get out of it for them specific years. But yeah, certainly on paper, they've not done anything even marginally impressive.
And so do you have any theories as to like what causes that decline to go from, well, like obviously they were so successful in the early 2000s and now it's sort of at a point where like you see people take the piss out of Ferrari about their mid-season strategy and they're like, I mean, I take the piss out of them about bringing downgrades to the car.
One of the great skid lines.
Like people, a bit like, I think I remember there was that shot from the Netflix documentary and they stuffed up the pit stop on that was used for it's like they can't even get that one right. Yeah. There's like this sort of narrative about them just generally sucking kind of thing. Like what causes that decline? Do you have any idea? Like what's going on there, why they're sort of worse now than they have been in the past and if they'll be able to rectify it, I guess.
My opinion, and I think this is why I'm saying this era with Lewis, Charles and Fred is potentially the next dominant era, is my opinion. I'm really sorry to any Italians listening, and if you want to hate us, please hate us, but also view the videos so we can just still get like good views on our videos. Italian pride. Italians are proud to the point where it's hit or miss. The pressure that Italy, the Tifosi, the Italian media put on Ferrari. Like when I say like Ferrari are like the Church of Italy or the mafia, like legit, like I literally met an Italian like yesterday or the day before or something. And as soon as I heard he had an Italian accent, I was like, Ferrari fan? And he was like, oh yeah. And like, he lives in Australia. But like, everyone in Italy is a Ferrari fan. You're a Ferrari fan before your church. Like if you're Italian Catholic, you're a Ferrari fan first. Okay. Like everyone, it's the religion, it's the way of life, it's what they do. So like, the pressure that they put on means that people within the team struggle to perform. Champions like Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel so far, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Räikkönen to an extent, like when he made his return to Ferrari after he won a championship there, he just kind of never really did anything. We saw Charles struggle mentally with the pressures of driving for Ferrari. And we've seen team principal after team principal, like who's the guy that's going to be, I don't know if he's TP or if he's just like CEO or like he was TP at Ferrari. He's now going to the Audi program. Mattia Binotto.
Mm-hmm.
We see people like that who, Mattia Binotto was there in the Schumacher days. Like he was an engineer in the Schumacher days. And when he got the TP role, he just crumbled and the Italian media called him a flog and everything else. And people have an opinion of Mattia, but my opinion of him that he's a fucking phenomenal engineer. He knows the sport better than most people in the sport and will do fucking amazing for Audi. Andrea Stella for McLaren. He was a Ferrari engineer and strategist and everything else back in the day. Left because of the pressure. Went to McLaren, has found a more stable program in McLaren's management system. So like Lauren Mekies, who's now the Red Bull team principal, ex-Ferrari. Like we see people up and down the grid leave Ferrari and then have better careers because they don't have the pressure from the Italian media or the Italian public.
Right.
So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. There you go.
There's just 3 examples. There's probably more.
Sure.
But the reason I say that this era where we're in now could potentially be a good defining era for them is you look at the Schumacher days, they had a French TP. They had an English like chief engineer. Like they didn't have Italians running it the Italian way. They had foreigners running it in the way they wanted to run it, and they ignored the French. They ignored the Italian media and they kind of pushed it away because it wasn't part of their thing. And I see the way that Fred runs it is very similar to the way Franz Todt used to run it. And he's very much like, I don't have social media. I don't read the media. I don't give a fuck. I'm running this team how I want to run this team. And I think that's the best way you run Ferrari. You need to tame the media and the fans, or you need to put them out your head so you can run the team like a proper fucking team.
Okay. All right. That rant sounded a bit racist, but xenophobic more than anything. But I think you more just think that attitude of ignoring the media and trying to get rid of the sort of.
I'm not saying that. I think like Andrea Stella, an Italian running a team at McLaren, phenomenal because you don't have Italian media pressure on you. I think an Italian in an Italian team is a recipe for disaster. Is all I'm saying because the Italian media put so much pressure. Like some of the headlines that they print in Italy are fucking wild. I'm not saying that a Frenchman or an Englishman do it better. I don't give a fuck.
Just that dynamic of.
I just think a dynamic of
pressure.
Anyone that isn't Italian running the team are going to run Ferrari better because I think you're able to put the Italian media out your head.
Sure.
And you're able to not have that pressure from them.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
Kind of like England in the recent Ashes.
True.
They just suck.
Yeah, they would have been way better if they had Australian players.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look when we used to have Kevin Peterson. Like, he was South African, was he? Yeah, like,
but I mean, even still, like Ben Stokes is New Zealand.
Yeah. He wears an England bat. Oh, so did KP.
All right. Well, okay. So that's an interesting perspective on why they've underperformed recently. You talk about the Schumacher days. Can you help me understand that period of dominance a bit better as well? Like, why? Like, was Schumacher an exceptional driver? Was the car exceptionally fast? Like, if you put Schumacher in another team, would he have still been amazing? Like, what caused them to just like you're right. Like that's the most iconic sort of thing in Formula One, right? Yeah. Like you think about Formula One, it's all like that sort of period of Schumacher driving for Ferrari springs to mind.
For sure.
Like what made it so good and dominant?
Yeah, everything you said there is kind of right. I think it's a mixture of everything because when he first went in 96, I mean, if you was to look at a photo of the Ferrari in 96, it even just looks like a shit car. Like it just looks odd. Like it just doesn't look fast.
You can't say that.
Like Ferrari. But it just doesn't look fast. It looked really bad. And Schumacher really struggled in the first year or two being at the team. Like I think he struggled mentally because, he'd been at Benetton where they would do a lot of what he said and they had a good team. But he left Benetton because they weren't an icon of the sport. I think he could kind of see the cracks starting to form in that team and that they wouldn't be around in the long term. So he made the move to Ferrari and he knew that it was, I think there's interviews of him saying the Schumacher documentary on Netflix, phenomenal documentary. But there's interviews of him saying in them early days, like, I know this is going to be an uphill battle. Like they've not won anything in a little while now. And like, I'm willing to take on the challenge of Ferrari, which is very similar to what we heard from Lewis in 24 and a little bit last year. I mean, his spirits got broken quite heavily, but Schumacher in 96, 97, bit of 98, like he was a little bit broken, but I think that shows who Schumacher is. When we look at benchmarks in our sport, and I'm sure it's the same in cricket as well, like back in the day, cricketers used to fucking smoke and drink and eat pies while they were playing. right? James Hunt used to smoke and drink before getting in the car. He would literally, put out a cigarette and then jump in the car and go racing. You couldn't do that nowadays. Like, they're fucking, astronaut level of athletes. Like they could go in space and be fucking sweet as a nut with the amount of G's that they're pulling. But Senna set the benchmark. Senna was the first one that was like, he put his fitness first. He would run, he would gym, he would, think about his mind and the mindset of driving instead of, he was the first person that openly spoke about like the struggles mentally of being a Formula One driver. Schumacher then took that to another level, and it was like, he was a machine. It was like, I'm sure there's videos of him like running on the beach, and people have edited it with like Terminator music behind it, because he was just fucking chiseled as fuck. It was the first time we saw a driver that was like, holy shit, you could be a model. Like, he was chiseled as fuck. He worked on his body, his mind, and got everything right to be able to perform to the best of his ability. He also learned racecraft like no one else. So he set the benchmark. Senna started the trend. Schumacher set the benchmark for everyone through till now. Even today, people will still look at Schumacher as like, that was the guy.
Okay.
Like, if we're talking fitness and everything, that was the guy. But then going into the early 2000s with Franz Todt coming in, Ross Brawn coming in, and bringing the engineers and the management structure in that they did into Ferrari, and changing Ferrari's view of building cars and going racing, that played hand in hand with what Schumacher was building. And Schumacher was a very big part of these people getting in the roles that they eventually ended up in. He's very influential like that. So, you can't put it down to one or the other. Would Schumacher have won without them two? Probably. Would it have been in a Ferrari though? Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah. You can't have one without, you couldn't have Ferrari without Schumacher at that time. You couldn't have Schumacher without Ferrari at that time.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But they're both very like formidable forces in the sport.
Okay.
While we're talking about iconic people, we've spoken quite a lot. Obviously, I've kind of already covered all of these guys, but Enzo Ferrari, the founder, the most iconic person probably one of the most iconic names in the world, Enzo Ferrari. I think even Formula One fans don't know anything about F1. They know the name Enzo Ferrari. Michael Schumacher, Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, Fred Vasseur, being the current TP. These kind of names get thrown out, and this is fucking unreal that we're not even mentioning, it's not on the list of Niki Lauda or Sebastian Vettel or Fernando Alonso or Kimi Raikkonen or Rubens Barrichello. Like, there's all of these other drivers. Alain Prost raced for them. Nigel Mansell raced for them. Like, there are all of these other names that raced for Ferrari over the years that just get forgotten, either because they're more iconic with different teams or different eras of their career, but it's just that Ferrari have had this many fucking unreal names. And so it's hard to make a top 4 list. I mean, my top 4 list has 5 people in it. But you put Jean Todt and Ross Brawn together.
Okay.
So where the team's at today, we've obviously, going into 2026, we've got Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, other drivers. We'll see how long that lasts.
What do you mean?
We'll see how long Lewis, if they have a shocking season, I think he'll retire.
You reckon?
At the end of this year. If they have a season like last year, I don't think he's sticking around.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be loving it, did he?
No.
Doesn't sound like he's got years of grinding ahead of him.
No, not at all. Obviously, Fred Vasseur, Team TP. Constructors finishers, in 2024, they finished in second. And in 2025, they finished in 4th. So not great from them going from second to 4th. Yeah. Do you remember the speech from the CEO of Ferrari? It was like, the team's doing great. The engineers are doing great. The mechanics are doing great. We can all see that. It's the drivers. The drivers are not doing great. We need to secure, because at the time I think they were P2 in the championship. They're like, we need to work hard to make sure the drivers secure us P2 in the championship. P4. So motivational speech. But as I mentioned in our last episode of last year, 4th place isn't too bad. You get more R&D time. You get more wind tunnel time. You get less prize money, but Ferrari don't fucking need prize money to fully hit the top of the budget cap. Yeah. But they get more testing time to be able to develop the car over the season. So listen,
okay,
they're not usually good. You call them downgrades that Ferrari bring instead of upgrades. So we'll see how that goes. But they've got more wind tunnel time. So
all right,
could be a string in their bow for this year.
Come on.
Strengths. They've got, if we're looking at modern form, Charles Leclerc is up there in the top 6 of drivers on the grid for current form. I think that, last year and the year before, we saw Charles, last year he outperformed Lewis. The year before, him and Carlos were kind of on par, but I think he outperformed Carlos most of the time and really showed that he is a very good driver. And then historically, Lewis is, on paper, the best driver that we've ever seen in the sport. 7 World Championships, the most wins, the most podiums. I'm pretty sure them two are true. I'm just going to say them because it's Lewis and it's probably true.
Probably.
So, if we're looking at the driver lineup, they should be winning races. Like, they've got the best driver. They've got one of the best driver lineups on the grid. I think current form, I wouldn't say Lewis is quite there, but I think that's more a headspace thing. I think if they can deliver him a good car, get him in the right headspace early season, I think he'll be top step this year. They've got an elite driver lineup. Obviously, money, facilities, resources, no issues for teams like Ferrari. They've got that in abundance. The weaknesses are obviously, it's been 18 years since they won a championship. The pressure of the Tifosi, the Italian media, is going to be fucking huge this year. Lewis's second year in the team. I can't imagine how that's going to feel in Italy if they go to the first race and are not in the top 6, not in the top 4. I think that it will be a massive kick in the dick for them. So the pressure is really going to be on. And then, in my opinion, the thing they've got to really look out for and something that could be a weakness is managing Lewis Hamilton. If they aren't challenging for a championship this year, Lewis will leave, in my opinion. So they have to manage that, because if they can get close, to challenging for multiple race wins, it's then a 50-50 of, is Lewis going to leave? Is he going to stay? They have to convince him that what they're doing is going to then win a championship in 2027.
Yeah, okay.
So, there's a lot of different ways this season could go for Ferrari and Lewis, but that is going to be the biggest pressure point and their biggest weakness of this year, in my opinion.
All right.
Go Skin.
Go Disc.
Well,
I have no further questions.
Nice. How do you think they're going to go this year?
I would suspect poorly. It didn't sound like Lewis was very optimistic toward the end of last year. And obviously, their performance this year would already be fairly baked in, right? Like, they've already done the work. They would have already built most of that car.
Somewhat because it's new regs. Development will be quite quick.
Sure. Okay.
So things could change quite drastically from start to finish.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I would have thought they'd already have a fair idea of what the car for this coming year would look like. And I wouldn't say Lewis sounded overly positive about this year toward the end of last year. So
yeah, very true.
Not expecting great things.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. Hopefully they had a mega winter and came up with some big stuff. I think the thing is, the difficult thing going into an era like this is that you don't know what your other teams are doing.
Oh, yeah.
So they could look at their data and go, okay, we're on par with last year's pace. Yeah. But is that good?
Yeah.
We don't know really, do we, till we touch down in Australia. So yeah. Who knows?
We will see.
Well, that wraps up another lap at the Formula Fools podcast. We hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did, and we hope you're enjoying this series. We're 4 episodes in. We're about to record a few more. Please follow along on social media, on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever the fuck the platform is. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're joining us, please follow along. Get in touch with us. Drop a comment. Drop us an inbox if you're liking this series. And yeah, we'll see you again. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Hell yeah. See you there.